The trail map said the hike would take 6 hours. Ethan knew it was wrong the moment the forest swallowed the sound of the road behind them. The silence didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, peeling away layers of normality like skin being stripped from muscle. First, the distant hum of traffic vanished. Then the birdsong faded, one call at a time, until even the insects seemed to have fled. The air itself felt cautious, heavy, unwilling to move between the trees. By the time they reached the higher path, there was nothing left but the sound of their own breathing and boots grinding against loose stone.
No birds, no insects, just wind scraping through rock like a blade being sharpened for something patient. "Still okay?" Ethan asked, glancing over his shoulder. Maya nodded, tightening the straps of her backpack. She was 26 now, no hesitation in her eyes, no uncertainty in her voice. "I told you, I can handle this." Ethan smiled faintly, but he slowed his pace anyway, staying half a step behind her, close enough to catch her if she slipped, far enough to respect her strength. That was how it had always been, ever since the night their father never came home.
They were siblings by blood, but survivors by choice. Maya was methodical, sharp-minded, brave without being reckless. Fear didn't paralyze her, it sharpened her attention. She believed that understanding danger was the first step to defeating it. Ethan, 31, carried a different kind of awareness. Broad shoulders, scarred knuckles, eyes that never stopped scanning. He had learned early that real danger rarely announced itself. It waited, watched, measured. This hike wasn't a vacation, it was deliberate. Years ago, when they were both adults, their father had told them about a cave hidden deep in these mountains. He spoke of it the way men speak about places they barely escaped, half joking, half warning. Some places, he'd said quietly, staring past them, aren't empty just because you don't see anyone. 2 weeks later, he vanished during a solo expedition. No body, no witnesses, no answers. Only the cave. Over time, it became a symbol, a question mark carved into their lives, a wound that refused to close. Now, years later, Ethan and Maya had come back, not chasing ghosts, not chasing legends, but seeking closure. The cave entrance appeared suddenly, carved into the mountain like an open wound. Tall, narrow, black. Not the harmless black of shadow, but a depthless darkness that seemed to absorb the light around it. Too black. Cold air poured out, brushing against their skin like something alive. It carried the smell of wet stone and something beneath it, metallic, rotten, old. Maya wrinkled her nose. That smell, like rust. Ethan adjusted his flashlight. The beam trembled slightly despite his steady grip. "We don't stay long. We document what we can and leave." She nodded. Together. Always. They stepped inside. The light died fast. The cave swallowed their flashlights like it was hungry, bending the beams into short, weak cones that barely reached the walls. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness, slow, deliberate, like a countdown no one had agreed to. Then, a sound. Not an echo. Breathing. Too close. Ethan froze. Maya's hand clamped onto his sleeve, her fingers digging into his arm hard enough to hurt. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. He nodded. The breathing stopped. The silence that followed pressed in, thick and crushing, until Ethan could hear his own pulse pounding inside his skull. They moved forward anyway, because turning back felt like surrender. Deeper inside, the cave changed. This wasn't untouched nature. The walls were scarred, deep scratches carved violently into the stone. Not symbols, not language, just lines, overlapping and frantic, like someone had tried to scrape their thoughts out of their skull and into the rock. Then they found the fire pit. Cold ashes, charred bones. Animal at first glance. Then Ethan noticed the curve. Too smooth, too deliberate. Human. Maya's stomach turned. She covered her mouth, breath shaking. "We leave," Ethan said. They turned, and the cave behind them was blocked, not by stone, by wood. A crude gate slammed shut with explosive force. Chains rattled as they were pulled tight from the other side. A voice came from the darkness, low, calm, certain. "So polite," it said, "taking your time before entering my home." The man stepped into the edge of the flashlight beam. He was tall and unnaturally thin, skin stretched tight over sharp bones. His beard was matted with something dark and old. His clothes were stitched together from different fabrics, different lives. His eyes weren't wild. They were focused, intelligent. That was the worst part. "Who are you?" demanded Ethan, stepping in front of Maya. The man smiled slowly. "I don't keep names anymore." He lifted his hand. A human jawbone hung from his fingers like a tool. "I eat those who wander too far," he said quietly. "And you came prepared. That makes you interesting." The attack came without warning. Steel flashed. Ethan shoved Maya aside just as the blade cut through the air where her throat had been a heartbeat earlier. They ran. The cave became a shifting nightmare, tight passages that scraped skin raw, sudden drops that knocked the breath from their lungs, tunnels that twisted back on themselves like the inside of something alive. The man didn't chase wildly. He guided them, redirected them. At one point, Maya slipped. Her leg tore open against jagged stone. Blood poured down her calf. Ethan lifted her without hesitation, ignoring the fire screaming through his arms. "Leave me," she gasped. "You'll move faster." "Never," he said, and he meant it. They hid in a crawl space barely wide enough to breathe. Dust coated their tongues. Blood dripped silently onto stone. Footsteps passed, slow, unhurried. The man hummed, a children's lullaby. When the sound faded, Maya whispered, "He's enjoying this." Ethan nodded. "Then we stopped being prey." They moved deeper, into his territory. Traps made from wire and bone, hooks embedded at head height, shelves labeled with names, dates, and numbers, journals filled with neat handwriting. Not madness, accounting. Fear improves tenderness. Adults fight harder, taste longer. Pairs hesitate. That hesitation is useful. Maya's hands trembled. He studied people. Ethan closed the journal. Then he's human.
The confrontation came in a cavern lit by stolen lanterns. The man stood waiting, cleaver in hand. "You could have lived," he said calmly, "if one of you stayed." Maya stepped forward instantly. "No," Ethan said, grabbing her wrist. They attacked together. The fight was brutal. No elegance, no mercy. Teeth, fists, steel, blood splattered stone already darkened by history. The man was strong, but human. Maya drove a blade into his thigh. Ethan buried it in his chest. Once, twice, again. The man collapsed, choking, disbelief frozen in his eyes. He died staring at the ceiling of the cave he had turned into a slaughterhouse. They didn't rest, didn't cry. They burned what they could and left the rest for the mountain. When they finally emerged, dawn split the sky open. Maya leaned against Ethan, exhausted but alive. "We didn't disappear," she whispered. Ethan looked back at the cave. "No," he said, "we chose not to." They walked away, and the cave stayed silent forever.